Listen to A Scandal in Bohemia by Arthur Conan Doyle. Level B1. Oxford Reading University.
Part 1.
To Sherlock Holmes, she was simply the woman. He never referred to her by any other name. In his eyes, she was superior to all the other members of her gender. As he had banned all emotion from his life, he wasn't in love with Irene Adler. However, he greatly admired her mental abilities. Holmes and I hadn't kept in touch for a while. I was busy with my marriage and family life, while Holmes spent time working on yet another mystery. One night, on my way back home from a patient, I decided to visit my old friend. I found him walking from one corner of the room to another, clearly thinking of a new case. "Marriage suits you, Watson," he said when he saw me. "You've put on about 8 pounds. 7 pounds, actually," I replied. "I was close," said Holmes. "Are you seeing patients again? Also, your servant is a bit careless, I see." I was incredibly surprised. "How did you guess all of that? Our servant girl is rather horrible, and Mary fired her yesterday," I admitted. "It's rather obvious," said Holmes. "I see a couple of parallel cuts on the inside of your shoe. Clearly, a careless servant made them while trying to clean mud off your shoe. As for your practice, you smell of medical drugs, and there is some iodine on your hand." I laughed. Holmes always made his conclusions look so simple. It was silly of me not to notice these details myself. Then he handed me a letter. It wasn't signed, and there was no date or address. The letter read, "Recently, you provided service to one of Europe's ruling houses. This has proven that you are reliable, even when it comes to private matters. Now, you will be asked to deal with a matter of enormous importance. In connection with that, you will receive a visitor at 7:45 p.m. today. Please do not mind the visitor wearing a mask." "What can you conclude from that?" asked Holmes. "He is definitely rich. The paper is expensive," I replied. "And it's from Germany, from Bohemia to be exact. There's a mark on it," added Holmes. "He must be German. I guessed that by the way he writes. But here he comes. Let's see whether we are right." A man drove up to the house in an expensive carriage. We heard his heavy steps on the stairs. Then there was a knock on the door. Holmes invited the man to come in. He was very tall and dressed in a rather odd way. His clothes were incredibly rich. In England, many would view it as a sign of bad taste. "Did you receive my note?" he asked. He sounded like a German indeed. "Please take a seat," said Holmes. "Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to?" "Call me Count von Kram. I am a Bohemian aristocrat. I hope this other gentleman is as reliable as you, because I have come here to discuss a private matter," he said, pointing at me. "You can tell him everything that you can tell me," replied Holmes. "What is the matter?" "I am sorry for wearing this mask. The royal person that employed me did not want me to be recognized. The matter has to deal with the great house of Ormstein, the kings of Bohemia," said the man. He was silent for some time. Holmes looked at him closely and said, "Would you mind stating your case, Your Majesty the King?" The man was obviously surprised. He stood up and took the mask off in a sudden movement. I admit it. I am the king of Bohemia, he said. I needn't lie to you. This is my case. Approximately 5 years ago, I met Irene Adler, a woman who is well known in certain circles. Is she blackmailing you with a letter? Asked Holmes. No, a photograph of us together, was the reply. This is bad, Holmes said slowly. I know it was crazy of me to let it be taken, said the king. I have tried to buy it from her or to steal it, but with no success. You see, I am about to get married to the Princess of Scandinavia. Her family cares a lot about reputation. If Irene releases the photograph to the public, all my plans will be destroyed. She promised to do it on Monday when we announce that we are officially engaged. We have 3 days then, said Holmes. Please give me your address in London as well as Irene's address. I would also appreciate it if you supplied me with the financial means. I will keep you updated. The king gave Holmes £300 and left. Holmes asked me to come to 221B Baker Street at 3 o'clock the next day. 2. When I arrived at 221B Baker Street, Holmes hadn't returned yet. I sat down to wait for him. About an hour later, the door opened and a drunk stableman entered the room. It took me some time to realize that it was my friend wearing a costume. I had an exciting morning, he said, and sat down by the fire. I left my house dressed as a stableman and went to investigate Irene's house. Some servants were taking care of horses down the street. I helped them and in exchange received plenty of information about Irene Adler. Filled with excitement, I asked him to go on. She is a singer, continued Holmes. She leads a quiet life, and her only male visitor is Mr. Godfrey Norton, a lawyer. That's interesting. Is she his client, his friend, or his lover? Well, as I stood there, a gentleman arrived. I guessed that it was Godfrey Norton. He hurried into the house, and I could see him through the window, walking across the room, talking and waving his arms. Then he ran out, caught a cab, and asked the driver to hurry to the Church of St. Monica. In a couple of minutes, Irene ran out too, and drove in a separate cab to the same destination. Are you bored yet? I am listening carefully, I replied. So I got a cab and followed them. There was no one at the church apart from my objects and a priest. When I entered, all 3 of them faced me, and suddenly Godfrey Norton said, Thank God, we need you or it won't be legal. They were getting married and needed a witness, so I became one by accident. Then the lady gave me a coin and the 2 separated at the church entrance. It was all done in a hurry. I will certainly wear the coin on a chain in memory of the occasion. I was really curious to know what happened next. So what did you do after that? I asked. I went to have lunch, said Holmes. By the way, I'd like to ask you to assist me, but I'm warning you that you might be involved in some illegal matters and even risk getting arrested. Does that suit you? Perfectly, I answered without any doubt. Brilliant, Holmes exclaimed. We ought to be at Irene's house at 7. That's when she's coming back. I might get involved in an unpleasant situation, but please remain calm and don't try to help me in any way. She'll take me into the house, and in several minutes, the window will be opened. You will see me through the window.
Stay with us for part 2.
Support our free audiobooks. Hit the like button to help other English learners to see our videos. And now, listen to another English book.